Welcome back. Now, Charles Tarbey from Century 21 now joins us from sunny Brisbane to give us an update on what's happening. Welcome, Charles.
G'day, Chris. G'day, Stuart. It's really interesting to listen to two accountants giving advice on buying property. Great to see.
Would you take any of the advice, Charles?
I might have approached it a little bit differently. Look, I'm pleased to say that I am here in Brisbane, and I was a bit concerned because I saw the front page of the Courier Mail and it said "Send in the clown," and I looked there and I was also pleased to see it wasn't my photo on the front page.
So, what's happening in Brisbane?
Oh, actually, we just had an awards night here. We do the tour around the country to recognise all of the top performers, and Brisbane is the last city for the quarterly awards. And so I was here last night doing that, but still, the market's moving very strongly. In fact, Brisbane itself and our coastal offices, our Sunshine Coast, because we've talked about that area before, and out of the 5 offices in Queensland that made it into the top 21 offices in Australia, 4 of them were on the Sunshine Coast up to Noosa, and the other was in Toowoomba, so there's a significant amount of activity happening on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland.
And so, certainly with a lot of those areas, and maybe the Gold Coast, is where they have had the biggest downturns. When the market comes back, do they then become the most successful offices because they've suddenly got a lot to trade?
I guess so, but they get called hotspots, and before you know it, everybody's running in and out of there. The one reason I like the Sunshine Coast, and we predicted some movement there, is that it's got a very strong owner-occupier area. It's not just your holiday area. It's very strong owner-occupier. A lot of people love living there, make it their life, and so you've got all of the benefits of the coastal area, not far from the airports, and either up on the coast or back in Brisbane. And at the same time, you've got the local residents that have established themselves, therefore all the businesses, and it's a community, and it's a very strong community. So that's why we predicted that area might move a little quicker than others.
Sounds good. Well, let's get the auction clearance graph up and tell us what's happening in the rest of the country.
Yeah, thank you. Really good results again. You've got a first. I mean, we've been keeping these charts since January last year, and we actually have a first, and that is that every capital city that we recorded was over 50% in auction clearance rates. So that hasn't happened since January, or since we've kept the records in January last year. And Sydney had the best result at 75.5, but Melbourne came in at 70.9. You even had Adelaide up there as well. It's a great result overall. 49.9% last year, as opposed to an average across the country of 69.3%. So it's an almost 20% higher clearance rate than this time last year.
Where are we as far as number of properties being sold? Are we measuring like with like as far as number of properties being sold this time of year, or is it just the number of properties being sold is down this year?
Well, the problem is, actually it's not too bad. Okay. The problem is, normally in winter time you're not really getting the properties coming to auction. As you know, this is generally the quieter time. But it's just a matter of stock. That's the issue. The issue is that, which we can talk about, but if you've got the stock right now, you can forget about the seasons. It's still back to the fact that there are buyers, the interest rates are low, and there are people who really want to be out there and active, but we're not getting the sellers in the marketplace.
So we'll pull up that graph now, homes advertised for sale.
Yeah, you hear around the countryside people are saying that listings are coming in or businesses changing and so on, but you've got to go on the stats. There's a lot of information out there that's historical data, guys, and it really does cause problems. You've got to go and talk to the agents or talk to businesses. Being here in Brisbane, I get a chance to speak to a large electrical mechanical engineering company that employs over 500 people, J&P Richardson. They've been established for 50 years, and they're the people that people need to talk to, people in power need to talk to today to find out what's going on, not go off historical data. So I went off our charts just this morning, and we've had a negative 7.73% over last week, and last week was a negative 1.73% over the week before, which is a negative 0.06%. So the stock levels are really not coming in on a national basis to make an impact for the amount of buyers that we have out there right now.
And again, jumping onto the rents, because obviously less stock around, it's going to force more people to try and bid things up. And if rent's getting more expensive, they want to buy.
Yeah, the three major capital cities I did this morning with Sydney is sitting at 11.35 since last year, increase since last January. Melbourne at 7.14%, and Perth 17.36%, still sitting up there. But when you take the three averages together, it's 11.95. So in the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, we've still been sitting in the 11s. I don't know that it's going to be sustainable. I really don't think it will be. It really does come down to when that stock comes on the market. That will change the dynamics of the rent movement.
Okay. And just finally, with the vacancy, what's happening there?
Yeah, that too has been up and down like a roller coaster. You've got the Sydney market at 2.2 or 2.42%. You've got the Melbourne market at 2.14%, which is pretty good for Melbourne because that was sitting up high for a little while. But the interesting one is the one we've talked about before with Perth, and that came in at 3.2% a vacancy rate. That's a bit of a jump for Perth, but when you put them all together across the three capital cities, it's a vacancy rate of 2.59%, still very, very much favouring the landlords. So the tenants are going to have a hard time with rental decreases, if you like, or rental stabilisation, the way the market's going right now, guys.
Now, I know you wouldn't have been keen to see the RBA rates drop, but we haven't got time to get your comments, so we'll get it next week. But thanks for joining us, Charles.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks for joining